Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
I'm 26 and work as a police officer on the night shift, usually 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's tough work, but I love what I do. The community interactions are honestly my favorite part of the job, especially when I get to talk to kids who want to be cops when they grow up. On this day, I had mandatory training that ran from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Instead of our regular uniforms, we wear blue polo shirts with the department logo and khaki pants for these classes. I still had all my gear though: service weapon and badge on my right hip, handcuffs, extra magazine, and radio on my left. After training wrapped up, I decided to stop by that big supermarket chain everyone knows, the one with the blue shirts and low prices. I just needed to grab some stuff for dinner since I've been in class all day and hadn't had time to meal prep. I was walking through the store when this little kid, maybe 9 or 10 years old, came up to me. His eyes were fixed on my service weapon. He asked if I was a police officer, pointing at my gun. I told him that I was, and his face lit up with excitement when he told me he wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. I always carry these little plastic badges for moments like this. His mom was shopping nearby, so I spent a few minutes talking with him about what it's like being a cop, answering his questions about the job. When they were getting ready to leave, I pulled out one of the plastic badges and told him he was now a junior officer. His face lit up like Christmas morning. He gave me this huge hug and started singing this little tune about being a cop and catching all the bad guys. Moments like that remind me why I love this job. The kid and his mom walked off, both smiling, and I went back to my shopping. I was kneeling down looking at some chips when I heard someone clear their throat behind me. I turned around and saw this woman, probably early to mid-40s, just staring at me. I turned back to the chips, figuring she'd move on. The woman rudely demanded that I help her find something, acting like I was ignoring her on purpose. I politely told her that I didn't work there and that she'd need to find an actual employee. She immediately accused me of lying, saying I was obviously dressed like an employee and clearly worked there. I should point out that I wasn't wearing the yellow vest that the actual employees wear, just my blue polo and khakis. I stood up and turned to face her, making sure she could see the department logo on my shirt and pointing to my badge. I explained again that I didn't work there and that I was an off-duty officer. What she said next still baffles me. She kept insisting I was lying and demanded to know why I had a gun, claiming employees weren't supposed to have weapons while working. She angrily demanded to speak to my manager. I've dealt with plenty of difficult people on duty, so I knew this was going south fast. I kept my voice calm and professional, telling her once again that I didn't work there and that my supervisor was Sergeant Dan, not anyone at the store. Karen was getting angrier by the second, staring at me like I was some pathological liar. She started yelling at me, calling me a lying jerk and complaining that people my age were lazy and never wanted to help anyone. She demanded to speak to my manager immediately. I told her again that I didn't work there. That's when I decided to pull out my credentials. It's this official photo ID card showing me in uniform with the department name and logo, with officer printed right under my photo. I keep my driver's license and debit card with it, since I have to carry them when I'm in public anyway. What happened next still makes my blood boil. Karen just snatched my credentials right out of my hand and stuffed them into her purse. She declared that my credentials were fake and that she was taking them to show to my manager and the real police. That's when things got serious. I switched into full cop mode. I told her that she had just committed simple robbery, which in my state is taking anything of value from someone's immediate control using force. I explained this was a felony punishable by up to 7 years in prison and demanded she return my credentials immediately or face arrest. Karen smugly told me I couldn't arrest her because I wasn't a real cop. I pulled my radio from my hip and called dispatch, requesting units to my location for a simple robbery. The dispatcher acknowledged and I heard 3 different officers respond that they were coming. I put my radio back and told Karen she was under arrest. When I reached for her left wrist, she slapped me hard with her right hand. She started screaming that I shouldn't touch her and yelling for help, claiming I was attacking her. I loudly announced that she had now committed battery on a police officer and warned her to stop resisting or she would go to the ground. By now, we had quite an audience. People were gathering around, trying to figure out what was happening. I heard on the radio that units were on scene asking for my location. I keyed up and told them which aisle we were in. Within moments, 3 fully uniformed officers showed up. The first one came straight to me and asked what happened. I gave him the rundown while Karen was simultaneously telling the second officer this wild story about how I had threatened her with my gun and attacked her for no reason. The third officer headed to the security office to pull the camera footage while the other 2 stayed with us. While we waited, I was chatting with the other 2 officers. Turns out I had gone through the police academy with one of them. Then we heard the third officer on the radio telling the others to arrest Karen. The 2 officers immediately moved in, placing her in handcuffs while reading her Miranda rights. Karen started thrashing around, insisting she was innocent and demanding they arrest me instead for pretending to be a cop and attacking her. The first officer told her they had everything on video and that she'd been lying the whole time. He listed off her charges: simple robbery, battery on a police officer, disturbing the peace, and now resisting arrest. The second officer suggested she use her right to remain silent. The third officer walked up with a copy of the security footage, and all 3 escorted Karen to the back of the patrol car. The sergeant showed up shortly after to oversee everything. I spent the next while filling out my statement, explaining what happened, and getting photographs taken, standard procedure whenever someone gets arrested for battery on a police officer. Once all the paperwork was done, I got my credentials back, Karen got a free ride to jail, and I finally got to go home. The charges she picked up that day are going to follow her for a while. I've been a sheriff's deputy for some years now. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone, so when I decided to go into law enforcement, I thought I had a pretty good handle on human nature. The academy prepared me for a lot of things: dangerous situations, dealing with criminals, managing crowd control, but nothing really prepares you for dealing with entitled people. The department I work for covers a pretty diverse area. We get calls from the wealthy suburbs where people call us because their neighbor's music is too loud, all the way to the rougher parts of town where we're dealing with serious crimes. Most days it's a mixed bag of routine traffic stops, domestic disputes, and the occasional break-in. I actually like the variety. It keeps things interesting and I like helping others, even when they don't necessarily want to be helped. I just started my shift that evening and honestly, I was in a great mood. I'd had an amazing dinner at home, my mom's famous pot roast that she'd taught me to make, and all my favorite partners were working that night. You know how it is when you work in a job like this, having good people to back you up makes all the difference in the world. I was driving my patrol route, windows down just a crack, listening to my favorite Backstreet Boys song and actually singing along. Yeah, I know, not very tough cop of me, but hey, everyone has their guilty pleasures. Then my radio crackled to life. Dispatch was sending out a call about a disturbance at one of the local coffee shops in my area. It's this little place that's been around forever. Family owned, the kind of spot where regulars know each other by name and the baristas remember your order. I've been there plenty of times myself. They make a decent cup of coffee, and the people are always friendly. A disturbance there seemed odd, but you never know what you're going to walk into in this job. I flipped on my lights and headed over. The drive only took about 5 minutes, but I could already see there was some kind of commotion happening outside the shop. There were people standing around looking uncomfortable, and I could hear raised voices even before I got out of my patrol car. The second I stepped out, this woman came running up to me. She was probably in her early 40s, had that really short haircut that screams, "I want to speak to your manager," and I immediately noticed she had a bright red mark across her left cheek. She looked flustered and angry, but also like she was trying to play the victim. I asked her if everything was all right. She put on this incredibly dramatic voice, the kind you hear from people who are used to getting their way by making a scene. She told me thank God I was there because she had just been attacked by a crazy woman in the coffee shop. I asked her where this woman was. Karen pointed through the window at someone sitting inside the coffee shop. I could see a young woman at one of the tables, and even from outside I could tell she was pregnant. She looked upset but was trying to stay calm. I told Karen I needed her to wait outside while I went to talk to the other woman. Of course, Karen didn't listen. She followed me right to the door, and I could tell she was the type who wasn't used to being told what to do. I called for backup because something about this whole situation felt off. When you've been doing this job for a while, you develop instincts about these things, and my gut was telling me there was more to this story. I walked into the coffee shop and approached the pregnant woman. She was sitting at a small table near the window, scrolling through her phone, but I could see her hands were shaking slightly. She looked to be about 7 months pregnant, and she seemed exhausted. I introduced myself and asked her to tell me what had happened. The pregnant woman looked up at me with these tired eyes and took a deep breath before she started talking. She explained that she had come in just to get a coffee and mind her own business. The woman outside had walked up to her and started touching her belly without asking. She had told her to stop, but the woman kept doing it. Then, when the barista put her coffee on the counter, the woman took it away from her and handed it back to the barista. She told them it was illegal to sell coffee to pregnant women. I asked if she really said it was illegal. The pregnant woman confirmed that yes, and then the woman started touching her belly again, telling her she was being a bad mom. She had asked her to leave her alone and stop touching her, but the woman said she was a mother too, and that made it okay. She got really rough about it, and the pregnant woman was getting scared. When she tried to walk away, the woman wouldn't let go of her, so she slapped her to get her off. I looked back at Karen, who was standing by the door with her arms crossed, rolling her eyes dramatically while the pregnant woman told her story. That's when my partner showed up, and let me tell you, my partner doesn't mess around. She's this short, no-nonsense woman from down south who grew up on a farm and takes exactly zero crap from anyone. I've seen her handle guys twice her size without breaking a sweat. I asked my partner if she could keep an eye on things out there. She told me she had it covered. I went over to talk to the manager and the employees behind the counter. Every single one of them backed up the pregnant woman's story completely. The manager was clearly upset about what had happened in his shop. The manager told me he'd never seen anything like it. That woman had just walked up to a customer and started grabbing her. They told her to stop, but she said she knew better than all of them. He mentioned that he had it all on security camera if I wanted to see it. He took me back to the office and showed me the footage. It was even worse than I thought. The video clearly showed Karen approaching the pregnant woman, touching her stomach repeatedly despite the woman obviously trying to move away, taking her coffee, and then getting increasingly aggressive when the pregnant woman tried to leave. You could see Karen actually grabbing the woman's stomach and not letting go, even when the pregnant woman was trying to back away. I walked back out to the pregnant woman. I asked her if she wanted to press charges. She said yes, please, that she just wanted to be left alone. Now came the part I always find interesting, watching entitled people realize they're not above the law. I walked over to Karen, who was still standing there like she owned the place. I told her I was going to need her to turn around and place her hands behind her back. She screamed, what in complete shock. I told her that she was under arrest. In my state, you can absolutely be arrested for intentional and unlawful touching of someone. Karen had repeatedly touched this woman without permission, taken her property, and gotten aggressive when asked to stop. She'd broken several laws. Karen yelled that I couldn't arrest her because it wasn't illegal to touch a pregnant woman. She said I should be arresting the people who work there because they were giving coffee to pregnant women and endangering children. I explained to her that she could not touch anyone without their permission, pregnant or not. I also told her there was no law saying pregnant women couldn't drink coffee. I asked her again to turn around and put her hands behind her back. Karen refused and said she wasn't getting arrested. She announced she was leaving because she had to get home to her children. She actually tried to walk past me toward the door. That's when my partner stepped right in front of her with this look that could stop a charging bull. Karen froze completely. I took that opportunity to grab her hands and put the handcuffs on. That's when Karen completely lost it. She started thrashing around, screaming, trying to get away from me. She was flailing so wildly that she actually knocked my body camera right off my uniform. I had no choice but to pick her up and carry her to the patrol car. When we got to the car, my partner opened the door for me, but Karen put her feet against the door frame to keep me from putting her inside. My partner just said something under her breath that I won't repeat here. She rolled her eyes, pulled out her taser, and zapped Karen right in the leg. Karen shrieked and finally got into the car. My partner told me she would handle all the paperwork and that I should just get Karen to jail. The entire ride to the jail, Karen was in the back seat telling me how I needed to watch my back, how she knew the sheriff personally, how I was going to lose my job, and how I had no idea who I was messing with. She kept going on about her connections and how this was all going to backfire on me. When we got to the jail, Karen started screaming about her rights, demanding to talk to a lawyer immediately, insisting she needed to be released right now. The jail staff looked at me with those expressions that clearly asked what kind of nightmare I had brought them. I finished up all my paperwork and realized I still had 9 hours left on my shift. Fortunately, the rest of the night was pretty quiet. But I kept thinking about that pregnant woman and how she just wanted to enjoy a coffee in peace. Some people really do think they can do whatever they want to, whoever they want, and it never stops surprising me how shocked they are when they face real problems for their actions. The next morning I heard Karen had spent the whole night in jail because she couldn't make bail until the banks opened. Apparently she'd called every person she knew claiming she was being held illegally. I started working at Bullseye Mart when I was 18. I'm good with people, I know all the systems inside and out, and honestly, the benefits aren't terrible. Plus, after 5 years, I've seen pretty much everything this job can throw at me. Or so I thought. Our pickup system is pretty straightforward. When someone orders online, it takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to get ready. There's a big warning about this right on the website when people place their orders. The system needs time to process everything. Our team needs time to gather the items. And sometimes things just go wrong because that's retail life. If you order something at 8 a.m., expect it ready between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Simple enough, right? Well, apparently, not everyone reads the fine print. So there I was, showing up for my 8-hour service desk shift at 11 a.m. The relief I felt walking through those doors was massive because I could already tell it was going to be one of those days. 60% of our opening staff had called out sick with symptoms from their COVID shots, and I could see the church crowd starting to trickle in. The church crowd is honestly the bane of my existence. They come in all dressed up, act like they're better than everyone, and treat retail workers like garbage right after leaving Sunday service. The irony is never lost on me. I resigned myself to a long day and mentally planned the daiquiri I'd be making when I got home. Being 23 has its perks, and after days like this, I definitely need them. 5 minutes into my shift, the phone started ringing. At first, I didn't pay much attention because usually one of the managers picks it up when they notice the line getting long. But then I saw one manager hop on a checkout lane to help with the crowd and another pushing an order cart around. That's when I knew we were in trouble. Why did I suddenly feel like boss music was playing? The phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing some more. If it stopped for a minute, it would start right back up again. For 45 straight minutes, that phone would not stop. I called out over the walkie, asking for someone, anyone, to please answer it, but we literally had no one available. Everyone was either helping customers or pulling orders. Finally, once the checkout line cleared up a bit, my coworker rushed over to grab the phone. Let me call her Autumn since we're not using real names here. Autumn answered the phone and apologized for the long wait before asking how she could help. She listened for a moment, then asked for the name on the order and checked the system. She told the customer that the order wasn't ready yet but should be ready within the next 30 minutes. The customer must have said something that confused her because she paused and said she wasn't sure about something. She then turned to me with a puzzled look. Autumn asked me if a customer could come in and get their order if it wasn't ready yet. I was still processing returns but tried to help while multitasking. I explained that technically, the customer could come in and get the item they ordered if they knew we had it in stock, but they would have to cancel their original online order since they would be two separate transactions. Otherwise, it was recommended they wait until they got the email saying the order was ready. Autumn said okay and relayed the information to the customer. She told them again that she was sorry for the long wait and wished them a nice day before hanging up. 10 minutes later, a woman in her mid-30s walked up to my service desk. She was carrying a 6-month-old baby in her arms and had that look on her face that every retail worker learns to recognize from a mile away. This was going to be Karen. I greeted her and asked how I could help. She told me she had called earlier about a pickup order and that the girl on the phone said it wasn't ready yet, but she was wondering if it was ready now. I remembered that Autumn had told her it would be at least another half hour before it was ready, but I didn't want to be rude. I told her I would check and asked for the name on the order. She gave me her information and I pulled it up in our system. Shock, horror, not at all surprising. Her order for an infant life jacket still wasn't ready. I apologized and told her it wasn't ready yet. Before I could finish explaining, she interrupted me. She demanded to know why it wasn't ready yet since she had ordered it at 8 a.m. when the store opened. I explained that even though she might have ordered it at 8 a.m., our system might not have gotten it until maybe 9 a.m. She asked why not in an angry tone. I explained that I was fairly certain Bullseye Mart's pickup servers were overseas, which could cause delays. She scoffed loudly at this, making her baby flinch a little. She called my explanation nothing but excuses and complained that she had specifically ordered this as a bring-to-my-car pickup because she didn't want to bring her daughter into the store, and now look what I had made her do. She wasn't wearing a mask. In our state, we're around 50% vaccinated against COVID and just opened up shots for 13 and up. At our Bullseye Mart, if you're fully vaccinated, wearing a mask is your choice. I've only had my first shot, so I still mask up. Either this woman was fully vaccinated or she never liked wearing masks in the first place. 50-50 odds. Also, I've been seeing babies younger than hers in the store since at least May of last year, so her concerns seemed a bit selective. I offered to call back to our order fulfillment crew to check if they had her order ready to go. She snapped at me, asking why I didn't do that in the first place. Sighing and shooting the baby in her arms a pitying look, I called back to my coworker to ask if anyone had an infant life vest in their cart. My manager answered and said it was in her cart, but it would be another 10 minutes before it was ready since she was in the middle of a pickup batch. Let's call my manager Nevaeh. Karen overheard this conversation and started getting really angry. She demanded to know why Nevaeh couldn't just bring it up to her right now since she knew it was hers and should just give it to her. I explained that our pickup batches were set up so that we only knew what items to grab first. We didn't know who had what order until we went to bag and label everything. Besides, our system still said it wasn't ready, so we couldn't just give it to her. I told her it would be like Amazon delivering a package but not charging for it. She yelled that she had ordered the item, waited all morning for it, and wanted her item now. I told her that as we had explained on the phone, it wasn't ready yet. I gave her two options: either wait the 10 minutes and it would be ready, or cancel this order, go back and get another life jacket, and go through self-checkout or a regular lane. She shouted that she didn't want to come into the store and that her daughter was going to get COVID because of me. She then demanded to speak to my manager. I told her that the woman she had overheard talking about her order was my manager Nevaeh, and she was the only one on the floor right now. Karen screamed that she wanted her item now, wanted compensation for this awful customer service, and wanted what she wanted. At this point, I noticed another line of people forming behind her, all looking fairly annoyed that they had to wait while she threw her tantrum. Karen kept screaming about the injustice of how her order wasn't ready, even though she had ordered it, and how this was the worst customer service she'd ever experienced. Her poor baby was starting to cry from all the shouting. To get her to calm down and clear my line so I could help the other customers, I quickly grabbed a $15 gift card from under my counter and handed it to her. I apologized for the inconvenience and asked if she could please wait off to the side so I could help the other customers. She happily snatched the gift card from my hands and stepped out of line to wait. I still felt dirty for giving in to her demands, but she left me no choice with that line of customers building up behind her. Not even 5 minutes later, Neve rushed up from the back with the life jacket in a pickup bag. She started apologizing for the wait and tried to hand over the bag, but Karen had already grabbed it and was walking off toward the exit before Neve could finish speaking. No thank you. No acknowledgement of the effort everyone had put in to get her order ready as quickly as possible. She just took her free gift card and her life jacket and left like the world owed her something. Later, when the closing manager came in for her shift, she asked me about the incident and the gift card I'd given out. After I explained the whole situation, all she said was that next time something like this happened, I should cap the gift card at $10. I could understand that reasoning, especially since I hadn't even wanted to give her anything in the first place. But honestly, I still feel bad for that baby girl. Growing up with a mother like that is going to be rough. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.